Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill Architects. Now the Trump Tower is 1,388 feet, or 423 meters tall, with 98 stories. Now here's what I want you to notice. The lowest roof of the Trump Tower is the same height as the Wrigley building right behind us, and the second highest roof of the tower is the same height as a dark steel building coming up ahead to the right. Those roof levels were intentionally designed by the lead architect, Chicago-born and raised Adrian Smith, to provide continuity with this tower's older neighbors in the skyline. It's from 2009 Park Hotel, Park Residential. Now ahead of us and to the right is this dark steel rectangular building. This is AMA Plaza, headquarters of the American Medical Association, and also home of the Langham Hotel here in Chicago. Now, it's from 1973 by Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. He was a very influential German-American architect. Now, here's the thing. This dark steel rectangular style is not exciting to our modern eyes, but it was revolutionary when Mies van der Rohe started his career in the 1940s. You see, he said that at his time, architects were focusing way too much on making the outsides of buildings fancy looking and not focusing enough on making the insides useful and practical for the people in the buildings. So Mies van der Rohe went all the way the other way, designing these dark steel rectangular buildings. We call that international style. Now, Mies van der Rohe, he was a professor right here in Chicago at Illinois Tech, but not all of his students ended up liking rectangles nearly as much as he did. On the right side of the book, these two circular towers were designed by one of Mies van der Rohe's students. The two circular towers on the right are officially called Marina City. We normally call them the Corncob Buildings. They're from 1968 by Bertrand Goldberg. Now, Goldberg was inspired by nature. He said there are no right angles or square shapes in nature. He wanted to build these round, natural-looking shapes for people to live in. And quickly, look above us there on the right, look at the parking ramp, the circular open-air parking structures on Marina City. So here's the thing. When Marina City went up in the 1960s, not very many people lived in downtown Chicago, the city center. So in order to attract residents, Goldberg filled Marina City with amenities. It had its own grocery store, movie theater, bowling alley, skating rink, marina on the river, and those parking ramps, which you can still see behind us. Now, having seen those parking ramps, you might have gotten nervous imagining cars falling off into the river, but there's no need to worry. That's only happened twice. That's true. But the whole truth, which I should also tell you, is that it never happened on accident or due to foul play. Both times were filmed stunts. Once was for Steve McQueen's movie The Hunter, the other was for an auto insurance commercial. Now, on the right side of the boat, this festively lit up brick building on the right side is 110 years old. It's called the Reed Murdoch Center, and it's an example of what we call Chicago School style architecture. Now, here's how you can spot Chicago School style. It's an old building with lots of windows like that, because here's the thing. In order to allow for those windows, they had to use internal steel framing, which was a technology developed right here in Chicago in the 1870s. Before that, you needed to use enough brick or stone to actually hold the weight of the building up. But on that building with the interior steel, the brick is just decorative. So that's called Chicago School style. We say that the first skyscraper in the world was a Chicago School style building here in Chicago from 1873 by architect William LeBaron Jennings. It was called the Home Insurance Building, and that first skyscraper ever was a whopping 10 stories tall. It was not the tallest building in the world even at that time, but we say that was the first skyscraper because it was the first relatively tall building to use internal steel. Of the Joffrey Ballet doing their annual run of the Nutcracker performances. Now, if you look up at the whole Opera House, the whole building looks like a giant throne. It has two armrests and a backrest, and the seat faces west. People have theorized that 20th century railroad businessman, Mr. Samuel Insull, who paid for the building and lived in the penthouse at the top, and being Chicagoan, we worked hard to make it someone else's problem. Instead of solving the issue, we just made it go away by making the Chicago River the only natural river in the world permanently reversed by humankind. It's true. and here's how. Not far to the west of the Chicago River is a different river, the Des Plaines River, which is naturally completely separate from the Great Lakes and flows toward the Mississippi to the So to carry our waste away, we connected the Chicago to the Des Plaines by building a canal between them named the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal. And at 3 a.m. January 2nd, Chicago filled in the canal, connected to the Des Plaines at a lower elevation than the lake, so with a valley to the west. Now, not all of our neighbors were as pleased with us with a series of portable tapes built in the 1930s for one reason, to slow down the lake water entering these still rivers, but much cleaner than it once was. Right is not an exception to that policy because technically there's still public land wrapped around its base, but it was controversial. It's from 1929 by Walter Alschlager. It's Art Deco style. Art Deco is defined with having vertical lines throughout the building meant to draw your eye up so you appreciate how tall it is, and it's got geometric ornamentation all throughout it, and it's got setbacks near the top which make the building narrower and narrower with sort of stair-stepping ornamentation. Now the Hotel Intercontinental there is from 1929. It has a swimming pool on the 16th floor. That was original from the 1920s. That was an engineering marvel. They basically proved it could be done with this example, putting something so heavy yet wobbly as a swimming pool that high up in the skyscraper. It's still there as an amenity in the hotel today. Now, ahead of us and to the right is the building from whence we came, the Wrigley Building, with the clock tower on top. Now, the Wrigley Building with the clock tower turned 100 this year. It was finished in 1924, designed by... Zip codes are, of course, what we call zip code is 60654. Now, this section of the river is where the three branches of the Chicago River meet. The main branch is behind us, the north branch is to the right, and the south branch is to the left. This fork in the river is called Wolf Point. Now, the name Wolf Point is actually older than the city of Chicago, but no one's quite sure where Wolf Point came from as a name. I've always suspected someone probably saw a wolf at some point. Now, as we turn to the south, by the way, I am going to talk about some buildings on the left in a moment, but I've got a couple more on the right first. On the right side of the boat, we've got this curved glass tower with the arch at the base. The curved glass building with the arch on the right is Lake Point Tower. It's from it's from 2017 by Picard and Chilton, and it's LEED Platinum certified. That's leadership in energy and environmental design. Two key factors in making it environmentally friendly is that it was constructed using a lot of recycled materials, and it uses river water to supplement its air conditioning. It brings water in, circulates this coolant when you visit. Now, the St. Regis is currently the third tallest building in town, and currently the tallest building in the world designed by a woman, a lead female architect. That woman is Jeannie Gang. Jeannie Gang is based here in Chicago. Her firm is called Studio Gang Architects. So how tall is it? It's 1,200 feet, or 365 meters tall, with 101 stories. Now, way up near the top of the St. Regis, you can see there's a place where the walls or the windows disappear. There's a gap in the building near the top, empty space in the steel frame. As the building went up, the architect saw that it was showing a bit more potential to sway the wind than originally anticipated. Now, they knew it wasn't going to fall over. That was not the issue. The issue was the steel frame could bend in the wind so much that it might crack some of the windows, glass being less flexible than steel. So in order to protect the windows, they had to relieve the pressure, and they did so by letting the wind blow through a space that is creatively called a blow-through feature. Now, as we approach the easternmost point of our tour, let me tell you about the Chicago River itself. In the city of Chicago's earliest days, We treated the Chicago River, as any industrial city of the 19th century would treat a river. In a word, badly. We threw all of our waste, sewage, in the river. The river was an open sewer flowing into Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan is our source of drinking water. Point Tower is from 1968 by Schipperite and Heinrich Architects. It is curvilinear in dark steel framing and minimal ornamentation. Point Tower is actually double-decker fast fuel trucking drawbridges were invented in Chicago. So double-decker, double-loop fast fuel trucking, Chicago-style drawbridge. That one behind us there opened in 1932, and it was the longest, widest, and heaviest fast fuel trucking drawbridge in the world in 1932. One last thing about the bridges, folks. We still lift all of our drawbridges in Chicago a few times a year. The main reason we lift our bridges these days is to let recreational sailboats with tall masts move between the days a year. Now on the right side of the boat, directly to the right, we've got this pair of brick and green glass residential buildings with the pretty white lights all around it. This is unnaturally green. When on the Saturday before St. Patrick's Day, anyone know who does it? The Plumbers Union in town, Local 130, dyes the river an unnaturally bright Kelly green. Now the dye the plumbers use is certified biodegradable. It's made completely out of vegetable material, and here's how they do it. They sail a few boats up and down the river, joyously accompanied by drummers and bagpipers. They throw and spray the dye into the river cleaner than they found it. It's by Getch Partners from 2017, and here's how it stays upright. It's got those big diagonal steel beams that focus its weight to its central core, and inside the top of the tower, there are 150,000 gallons, or about 450,000 liters, of water in a mass damper. When wind blows against the building, the water in tanks on tracks is shifted against the wind to keep it steady. Now, it would stay upright without the mass damper, but it prevents it from swaying nauseatingly on windy days, and actually mass dampers are pretty common. Lots of skyscrapers have some sort of shift of the weight to help keep them steady in a strong wind. All right, looking on the left, folks, we have this shiny glass tower on the left. Hello. Hi there. The shiny glass tower on the left is Bank of America Tower. It's quite new. It's from 2021. The only reason that it has these shiny diagonal supports here is to unify this building in style with the diagonal underside behind us on 150 North Riverside. Both these buildings are by Getch Partners.